Economies do not produce and consume the same volumes every year. In certain years, gross domestic product grows, in other years it shrinks. The long-term course of this fluctuation is referred to as the economic cycle. The economic cycle usually follows a particular wave pattern. In the long run, economies usually settle at a higher level after a full economic cycle. This means upward phases are more intense over the long term than downward phases. Economic theory distinguishes between 4 possible stages of the economic cycle: expansion, boom, downturn, and recession, sometimes even depression. In the first phase, called expansion, the macroeconomic upswing starts. More is produced and usually more is also consumed. Typical for this phase are increasing utilization of production capacities, decreasing unemployment, and moderate inflation. The increasingly positive sentiment means that more is consumed in investment. The economy starts growing at a faster pace. In the second phase, one speaks of a booming economy or a boom period. Production capacities are used to their full extent and full employment prevails. Therefore, manufacturers can ask for higher prices and employees can demand higher wages. This leads to inflation and therefore to higher interest rates. At the peak of a boom phase, the economy may become overheated and build price bubbles. Usually, central banks react to this by raising interest rates sharply. This makes consumption and investments funded by loans more expensive and for some too expensive. Then the downturn starts as the third phase. In some sectors of the economy, market saturation sets in, price bubbles burst, and an increasing number of loans cannot be serviced. In this phase, market consolidation starts. Less productive and over-indebted enterprises go bankrupt or are acquired by more potent peers. The economy grows only gradually or not at all. An economic downturn is followed by the economic through. This is the fourth phase. When GDP shrinks for 2 or more consecutive quarters, one speaks of a recession. If the recession lasts longer, we call it a depression. The economy shrinks and growth rates are negative. To stimulate the economy, the central banks usually lower interest rates in such a phase. We have been observing global economic cycles for around 250 years. The Russian economist Nikolai Kondratiev was the first who described these cycles. Today, they are referred to as Kondratiev waves. According to his theory, every cycle starts with an upswing triggered by a fundamental technical innovation. The first cycle started in the late 18th century with the Industrial Revolution and the invention of the steam engine. The second cycle was triggered in the mid-19th century by railways and the steel industry. The third cycle started around 1900 based on the automobile, electricity, and innovations in chemical engineering. The fourth cycle in the middle of the 20th century was started by nuclear energy, electronics, aviation and space technology. And the fifth cycle around the turn of the millennium, the triggers were biotechnology, microelectronics, information technology, and so on. Nobody knows exactly what will come next.